we just got a boatload of information about Borderlands 4. I'm a huge Borderlands fan. Borderlands 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, and so is the first Tales from the Borderlands game. And I'm honestly, I'm cautiously optimistic about Borderlands 4, mainly because I didn't love Borderlands 3 all that much. But we got so much information from a state of play, and I wanted to break down for you guys everything that you need to know about Borderlands 4. Real quick though, if you're new here, we got a brand new channel. We're talking about all sorts of games that I'm really looking forward to. It's not just superhero games like on my main channel. So if you're new here, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and as well, hit that thumbs up button. It helps people find this channel. But all right, let's jump in now. The first thing that they mentioned once we jumped into the state of play for Borderlands 4 was that this game is going to have a more grounded tone, and it's not going to be all fun and games. I imagine there's going to be plenty of comedy, and there's going to be moments where we're going to have some good laughs, but I am glad that they're not going to go all out with the comedic tone like they did with Borderlands 3, because I think what they did with Borderlands 3 is they learned the wrong lessons from Borderlands 2. I thought Borderlands 2 was kind of funny and had some really good comedic moments, so they just wanted to go all in on that, but that's not really what we wanted. So I'm glad we're going back to a more grounded tone here. We were then introduced to one of the Vault Hunters in this game, the new Siren known as Vex. She can use her Siren abilities either offensively or she can spawn minions that fight alongside you. And yes, Borderlands 4 is going to be able to feature 4-player co-op. I mean, we all expected that. There's also going to be full cross-play here. That's awesome to hear. You're going to be able to play with your friends no matter what platform they're on. And what I was really happy about, they are indeed bringing back split screen. That is really great to hear. There are not a lot of games that are trying to keep couch co-op alive, so big shout outs to Borderlands for being one of the few. But there's quite a bit that they went into for the co-op experience specifically. They mentioned that you can actually independently tune the difficulty of the game separate from anybody else in your party. So for instance, I guess if I'm playing with a friend and they want to play on like super easy and I want to play on hard, then that's something you can do. I wonder how that works. I imagine the tuning really just comes down to how hard the enemies hit you, really. But I wonder if there's something where like if I'm playing on super hard, the enemies are more focused on me than they would be on my friend who's on super easy. And yes, there is going to be loot that is individual to the player. It's not going to be shared loot amongst the party, so you're not going to have to worry about your friend or anybody else who joins your game stealing loot from you. And then finally, they mentioned when it comes to co-op that if you and your friends get separated, if somebody's on the other side of the map and you're on one side, you can just fast travel to them to get caught up and regroup right away. Lots of really good stuff in terms of the co-op experience. From what they explained here during this state of play, it has me very excited. And all right, now we know the explorable world of Borderlands 4 is known as Kairos. And there's just too much to explain in terms of the villain, his motivations, and what he's doing to rule this planet. So why don't we just roll the clip from the state of play that explains all this for me.
For thousands of years, the Timekeeper kept the planet hidden, controlling its inhabitants with bolts, cybernetic implants fused to their spines. Anyone who stepped out of line was brutally crushed by his army of synthetic soldiers known as the Order.
Yeah, so the Timekeeper sounds pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to learning more about this character. In regards to the world itself, we know now that there are 4 different zones that we're going to be able to explore, and it was described in the state of play that there is next to no loading time. So there's probably still going to be some loading of some sort, but with this running on next-gen consoles, it was shown on the PS5 Pro for this state of play. I imagine those loading times are going to be really quick. And yes, we do know that there is a new enemy faction that works under the Timekeeper known as the Order. It was also explained that in regards to the story, the moon that we teleport away at the end of Borderlands 3 actually crashes into this planet. It causes like a planet-wide cataclysmic event, and what that actually ends up doing is it allows some of the people of that planet to want to rebel. This pisses off the Timekeeper, the main villain, as it kind of disrupts the order that he wants to have running the planet. And yes, like with the previous Borderlands games, if you remember from Borderlands 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, we will be interacting with the last game's Vault Hunters. So Zane from Borderlands 3 is back here in Borderlands 4, and so is the Siren of Borderlands 3, Amara. Moxie's also going to be back in this game. I think we're all happy about that. You can't have a Borderlands game without Moxie, and Claptrap's coming back as well. Throughout gameplay, you're going to have a drone with you known as Echo 4. This will help you hack into things, but also they introduced this new thing that Echo 4 can do where it shows you kind of a guide to get to an objective. I think this is great. There are plenty of times playing the Borderlands games where I don't know specifically the route I have to take to get to a certain objective or to get to the next part of a mission. So Echo 4 will be very, very helpful. And they jumped into some gameplay. We got to look at some of the new traversal abilities that are going to be in the game, the way that we're going to be able to maneuver around the world, and as well throughout combat. One of the main things that they show here in the gameplay is that we're going to have like this glide. It's essentially like a hover where you can kind of just extend your time in the air to reach a new area where you can climb up something. And yes, that goes into one of the other things that you can do in this world when you're exploring. You can climb, you can dash, double jump, and there's point grappling now too, which creates just fun new ways to traverse, like I said, and just maneuver when you're in combat. It's also really nice. One of the other things they mentioned here too that I'm really looking forward to seeing how it works within the actual game is that the world, Kairos, is going to have dynamic weather and events take place. Like, what do these dynamic weather events, or just the dynamic weather in general, what does it do for us? If it's raining and it's thundering, will lightning strike some enemies or strike even the player? I'm interested to see that. They showed off that there is a new activity in Borderlands 4 known as like a silo that you can come across, and it turns out that some of these just you randomly come across throughout the world while you're exploring. These aren't missions that you have to accept, just you'll find it, it'll automatically pop up as a mission that you take in, and it'll automatically be tracked. I think that's great. It just eliminates the back and forth element of having to try and tag as many missions as you can off somebody so that you have some of them when you're going out and exploring. And okay, this brought in one of the bigger issues. This whole gameplay segment in general, I think my problem with Borderlands 4 is this UI is looking uninspired as hell, man. Super generic, missing all of the flair and the fun and what made Borderlands 4 look so cool and so interesting. I really don't know. They stripped it down completely. I hope that by the time we hit release, this is some feedback that a ton of people provide and they change things up with the UI. I know Randy Pitchford's very active on social media, so hopefully people are already on it in terms of tweeting at him and letting him know, hey, we don't really love how the UI looks here. When we got to look at the actual map for this world, it was mentioned that you can collect vault key fragments, and once you collect enough, you will then be able to open a vault. And yeah, there'll be dungeons with some really hard enemies and some really difficult tasks. And like all the previous Borderlands games, you can spawn your own vehicle. We have a new look at some of the vehicles they have in this game. It looks a little Destiny-esque, but I mean, it's a vehicle in Borderlands. Gets you from point A to point B. It's got guns on it. That's all there really is to it. Yeah, we get a good look at combat and the shooting and the maneuvering and all that stuff. It looks smooth. I'm happy with what we're seeing from the gameplay side of things. The only thing that I was worried about for a second was that the guns looked just generic. They looked like this gun shoots and that's it. I was worried. I was like, where's like, you know, the unique flair of the guns? Where's that level of creativity that we can always expect from the loot in Borderlands games? And then they started to go in and talk about the guns, and I was very happy with what I was seeing. One of the things that they mentioned is that they took in the feedback from Borderlands 3 and they made it so that legendary weapons they're gonna feel more legendary. You're not gonna come across them super easily and very frequently. You know, you're gonna have a bit of a tougher time finding those legendary weapons, and once you do, you're gonna feel the reward of getting those legendary weapons. Some of the ones that they showed off definitely look really unique. They have some different things to them, which I really like. From what they were showing, I was excited. We have all new weapon manufacturers as well now in Borderlands 4. It's got all the same ones as you remember from the previous games, but now we have first the Order, which is described as powerful charge and release blasts. Then we have Rippers, which are fully auto weapons that I guess rip you apart. And then we have Daedalus or Daedalus. I'm not sure. They pronounce this in the civil state of play, but it's spelled so weird. Okay, but the way that this is described is that it's easy to use and also uses multiple ammo types. One of the really interesting things though when it comes to the loot in Borderlands 4 is they're introducing this new concept where some weapons are going to have different parts on it that apply to different manufacturers. So you can get like a Tor gun that has like a Tediore part attached to it, and apparently the higher the rarity of the gun, the more parts you're gonna have attached, and it just makes it crazier. One of the other things they talked about when it comes to gear in Borderlands 4 is that now we're ditching artifacts. We no longer have artifacts in this game, but rather we have something new called enhancements. And what enhancements will do is provide you specific bonuses to certain manufacturers. So if there's a type of weapon that you like from a certain manufacturer, you will go all in on a build that gives you an enhancement that goes crazy for that weapon type. So now you have a weapon that might not have been that good, but turns into really good. They also mentioned that there's a new gear slot for grenades/heavy weapons called Ordnance. And Ordnance doesn't use ammo. It's actually just a cooldown. So once the cooldown is up, you get to use it again. I don't know how long that cooldown is, but considering how powerful it looks, it's probably one of those things that you really want to save for when you're facing off against the tougher enemies. And then finally, we got to look at skill trees in this game. We got to look at action skills. Action skills can be applied to each of the Vault Hunters, and different action skills have have different skill trees for them. It's honestly, it's a little overwhelming. Okay, it's a lot to take in a very short amount of time. This is going to be the part of the game that you probably put the most into and need the most time with. But from what we're seeing, you know, just kind of baseline, it looks like it's going to offer a lot of player freedom and creativity so that no two people who play as the Siren are going to play it the same way. Once again, though, that UI, they have ditched all of what made the Borderlands UI unique in favor of something that looks completely generic. Please change it. And then a couple of last things here that they mentioned during the state of play. It was said that you can replay any of the missions in the game, and as well, you can replay some of the boss battles. So if there's some boss battles that you really liked and want to run through again, you can do it. If there's a mission that you really liked and want to run through again, you can do it. Thank God for that. Got a sneak peek actually at one of the boss battles in the game. It looks absolutely insane. There's so much going on. The boss itself looks creepy and cool. The design is sick. I'm incredibly hyped to jump in with some friends and just go vault hunting, try to find those key fragments, and just fight some of these bosses. All of this looks really, really fun. Outside of the UI, Borderlands 4 is heading in the direction that I like. And if you're wondering when you can get your hands on the game, well, they actually moved the release date up. It's now going to be releasing on September 12th. We don't know why they moved this up. I mean, Randy Pitchford likes to say that it's because the game is really polished and they're hitting their milestones, but it could be because they want to get out of the way of a potential GTA 6 release, or also, I mean, they were originally going to be coming out on the same day as Marathon. Marathon is a PlayStation game. PlayStation owns the marketing rights here for Borderlands 4. Maybe they don't want to do any cannibalization there. And that's it. That's pretty much everything you need to know about Borderlands 4. Are you excited for the game? Are you looking forward to it? We're going to have a lot more to talk about throughout this year leading up to the release. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button, comment down below what you think about the game. I've been Caboose. I'll see you guys later.